Hey, welcome to the conversation that's as diverse as the dogs that we adore. This is Gun Dogs and Guard Dogs, the ultimate podcast dedicated to talking sense about dogs, with Les Graham and Ross McCarthy. They work with all breeds of dog, but one specialises in gun dogs and the other prefers guard dogs. No flashy trends or social media hype here, just tried and true knowledge that stands the test of time. They bring you valuable insights and honest conversations about the social predator you share your home with. So here we go. About 45 minutes of gun dogs, guard dogs, good dogs, some maybe not so good dogs, and a dash of gossip.
Right, here we go again, Les. These podcasts get closer and closer together, don't they?
They do. Well, they're due for recording them anyway.
Well, they do, I know. So we are joined today. We've got a special guest with us. We've got Ros Thompson, who is a Bach Flower Remedy practitioner. Is that correct?
It is.
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm looking forward to finding out all about the fascinating world of flower remedies because I know very, very little about them. So, exciting to find out. Just before we get into the flower remedies, Ros, you were just saying before we started recording about how your journey with sort of flower remedies started. So, can you just give us a brief kind of overview of you? It all kind of started with a horse, didn't it?
It did. Yes, it did. Back in 1998, 8, we purchased a pony for my daughter, who at the time was 20-ish, 19, 20, quite feisty. Anybody in the horse world would know if you buy something that's part Arab, part Welsh, they're going to be difficult. He was difficult. My daughter had fallen in love with him, so it was like taking away her soulmate if I did anything. But he really became quite dangerous to handle out of pure fear. And I spoke to a Bach Flower practitioner, and I'd never heard of Bach Flower Remedies, and I'd never used rescue remedy. But a woman in the village said to me, I was part of a holistic community. She said, you need to go and see this lady. So off I trotted and away I went, had an hour with her. She never saw the horse, never came to see him, but she gave me a little bottle like this. And this little bottle, basically I gave this to him. I had to give him 10 drops every morning and 10 drops every evening. And he wouldn't take his own feed. He wouldn't eat his own feed out of a bowl. He would kick it all around the field and share it with the birds. So I had to gouge holes into carrots and apples because, as you may or may not know, they don't absorb liquid. So I used to have a handful of carrot and apple and the remedy sprinkled all over it. And the feisty behaviour stopped within 3 days.
Wow.
So I gave him the remedies for the rest of the month as it was prescribed. And then we had 3 more lots after that. And the behaviour, which was such that when you took him out of the horse box in the morning, take him out of his box, and my daughter would try to lead him down the lane. And by the time we got to the field, he was cantering on the spot. Now, when you've got an 8-year-old daughter, that kind of doesn't work, really. So I would do it. And I've got sharp elbows, and I'm big enough and strong enough to be able to cope with it, but she couldn't. This behaviour stopped. It stopped in its tracks. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I probably wouldn't have believed it. And people will say to me, well, surely it was a placebo. I said, well, no, how can it be a placebo?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a placebo for me? I wasn't taking it. Is it a placebo for him? He doesn't know what he's doing. He's stuffed him in a handful of carrots and apples, which is great. And that behaviour never repeated itself. And he died 8 years ago, I think, this year. I lose track of the years, but he was 43 when he died. So we had him another 20 years, and he never reenacted that behaviour in any way, shape, form, or size. And the fear was gone. And it was all about past trauma, past fear of the known, fear of the unknown. And I then suddenly realised I want to go and look at this and I want to find out more about it. And that was it. Off I went.
And did you, just to jump in quickly with question, is it something you continue doing, or you give the remedy for a period of time and then you're done?
When the problem is solved and the people or the animals acting better, children feeling better, adults feeling better, it stops and it doesn't come back. So it's kind of not one and done, because one remedy doesn't solve the problem, you ideally go on a basis of 3 to allow the emotions to balance. Some situations can go on for longer. Certainly if you're working with people on antidepressants, that can go on for longer, because then you're balancing as they come off antidepressants, the remedies substitute, and you go on. That can be 18 months, 2 years. Animals can often be longer because you don't know how deep-seated the trauma is. It could be an ingrained thing. It could be superficial. It's just dependent on what you see.
It's very much peeling an onion, isn't it? So you deal with one issue that's shown itself, and then something else might come to light because of it, because it's been kind of suppressing. You know, sometimes it's surface stuff, isn't it? And it's suppressing something else, and when you deal with that, then the next thing shows itself a bit, doesn't it?
Certainly from the point of view of humans, yes. All animals are a bit trickier because you can't always tell where it's come from, especially if you look at rescues. But when we look at rescue animals, what we invariably tend to do is to look at the human element in the joining. Sometimes the human can affect the actions of the animal. And that's regardless whether it's horses, cats, dogs, makes no difference.
So what are Bach Flower Remedies? How are they made? who is Edward Bach, and what?
Right. Okay.
And you'll have to be really descriptive because this is going out audio. This is where we'll put our language to the test, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to show you my little box of tricks. So I'm basically, I have 38 little bottles, 38 different flower remedies, 38 different negative emotions. Dr. Bach died in 1936. So we are 90 years old this year. He was a practicing GP. He was 50 when he died. Sadly, he had cancer. And he was a bit disillusioned by being a practicing GP. He was working in Harley Street, and he decided that he wanted to look at the complementary world. Now, if you can imagine back in the 1920s, a practicing GP then looking at alternative complementary medicine, it was all a bit weird. But anyway, he did it. He went off out with a lady called Nora Weeks, trailed around the countryside looking at these different solutions. He did a lot towards the start of homeopathy, but pulled out of that and decided to look at flowers and the properties and the natural healing energies that flowers and plants can provide. They've been doing that for millennia in the Far East. We've always kind of poo-pooed it. He took it into its reality and produced these remedies. He broke them down into subsections. So you have fear, you have a selection of remedies for fear, you have a selection of remedies for loneliness, for all sorts of different things. But those subsections are then broken down into the individual remedy bottles. As a practitioner, what I do, I can take, after a consultation with a client, I can take up to 7 remedies and blend them together I blend them together basically in a little 100ml bottle, and that 100ml bottle then goes out to the clients, and they take the remedies orally over a period of 5 to 6 weeks. But it's that blend of the specific remedies according to their problems that is key to whether they feel better.
So when the harvest, how do they harvest the flowers, Rosin? Do they use different different parts of the plant depending on like time of year or what emotion they're deing with?
No, we only ever use the flower.
You only ever use the
flower heads are taken in their prime. They are either boiled or soaked in water. If they're soaked in water, they're soaked in the sun. The residue, if they're boiled obviously indoors, but the residue that is left, having strained off the remains of the flowers, that is your mother tincture. That is then preserved either in glycerin or in alcohol. So the majority of the remedies that we sell, which come in the form of the stock bottles that I use, are done in alcohol because they have to be preserved in some format. and the rest are preserved in glycerin. And the glycerin remedies are those who are alcohol intolerant, children under the age of 16, and animals. And the sell-by date and the shelf life of the glycerin-based remedies is about 2 years, but the alcohol-based remedies is 5 years. So you've got a nice length of time that you can actually keep these for.
Keep going back to it.
Having done that, the flowers themselves are all gathered at the Bach Centre. The mother tinctures are put together at the Bach Centre, which is in Wallingford in Oxfordshire. They're all sent down to Nelson's in Wimbledon, and they do the rest. They put together the rescue remedy, which is the little yellow bottle that most people know, the crisis relief. They put together all the other different brands of Bach flower products that we have, which is the pastels, the different type, the dog remedies, the animal remedy, the children's remedy, all that sorts of things. And it's gone from there. And it's sold in, I think it's up to 70 countries now. And there are thousands of me. If you go onto the Bach Centre website, you can find a Bach flower practitioner in almost every country in the world, which is quite fascinating.
So are there flowers that are linked specifically to different emotional states, and then you mix and match?
That's what he's found. Yes, that's how he found it.
So, because I mean, I used to use Bach Flower Remedies as a kinesiologist, and still do, because I see Ros for myself and for Faelen and Emrys as well. But the thing that really struck me, the thing that really hooked me on it, was the busy lizzies. Okay, so
Impatiens.
And I can never pronounce it. Impatiens, thank you. So where we lived, we had busy lizzies in the garden. And busy lizzies, just like, I don't know if you've ever grown busy lizzies or not, Ross, but basically you put them in the garden and they kind of go boom, and they never stay. You can't contain a busy lizzie. It just spreads around the garden and it just never stops growing. And it's just constantly bubble, and the remedy that goes with it is impotence.
Impatiens.
Not impotence.
No.
Nearly Scotland. Oh, don't make me giggle. Say it again, Ross.
Impatiens.
Impatiens. Okay.
That's the Latin name for busy lizzie.
And it's impatience, isn't it? It's for people who can't sit still, and it's for the busy lizzie people who are impatient, who can't sit still, and it was like a real aha moment for me, because I'd been using the remedies for like 4 years, and I'd never grown busy lizzies, and it was only when I grew them I was like, bloody hell! Now I know how that busy lizzie fits with that remedy and that emotional type.
They only grow like that if you water them and they've got sun. Take the sun away and don't water them, and they get so frustrated they die almost immediately. They will be dead from sad within a week.
Because one of the negative emotions attached with it is frustration as well, isn't it? It's that frustration and not. I used to have that remedy a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
don't have it now.
You've got the agrimony remedy, and the agrimony remedy is the remedy for the person who's always saying I'm fine. The agrimony remedy is so small and so insignificant, you would never see it. I've seen it once growing in the wild, and it's on the side of the road on a private estate, and it's the smallest yellow flower I've ever seen. It's kind of half the size of my fingernail, minute. And that's the little remedy for the person who, at a party, is always in the kitchen. And if you ask them how they are, they'll simply say, I'm fine. How are you? So they never offload because they don't want to be seen. Yeah. They don't want to be the centre of attention.
I find... Sorry, go on, Ross.
You get the clematis. Clematis wants to be the centre of attention because it's all loud. Wants to be the focus of attention. So the clematis remedy is all about focus, all about attraction.
So who, for example, would you use, like, what symptom would you use that on?
Focus, clematis.
Yeah.
Somebody who's easily distracted. It's used in rescue remedy for focus and attention to detail. So somebody in an emergency needs to focus on what they're doing, or in a for instance, they go to the dentist and they're terrified of dentists and they've got this awful fear. They need to be focused on what they're actually doing. You're doing an exam, you need to be focused for attention to detail. Clematis we also use for menopause, for women who suffer from brain fog. Brilliant. All those sorts of things.
It's fascinating.
It's really interesting. So, what was I going to ask you? It's gone. It's gone.
Do you mix while Les is thinking, when you make these little bottles up or tinctures or whatever you call them for clients, that's will be a combination of all sorts depending on their specific requirements. So there might be a bit of this, bit of that.
But it's a fine line. Let me talk you through. Let me talk you what's through. For me, it's the most fascinating group, the group for fear. And you have 5 remedies for fear. Now, if somebody says to me, I'm frightened, and if somebody had said this 30 years ago, gosh, I'm really, really frightened, I would never have gone, what of, or how frightened, or questioned that word. But Dr. Batch took that word apart and he said, okay, what have we got? What types of fear have we got? We've got fear of the known. So that's a fear you can actually put a name to. That's your agoraphobia, that's your arachnophobia, all those sorts of things. You've got fear of the unknown. That's the fear that gives you the butterflies in your tummy. That's the fear that makes you sort of feel all uncomfortable. You're not sure of something. You've got fear of loss of control of emotions. That's cherry plum. Those are the people who have the suicidal thoughts and uncontrollable, fearful thoughts. Fear and over concern for others. That's the person who spends their entire life worried about other people, not about themselves. So all they're worried about is other people. They're worried about their family, their grandkids, and all the rest of it. Never been concerned about themselves and wearing themselves out, looking after and worrying about other people. And then you have rock prose, which is for terror. And that's the fright and flight mode. So that's what Dr. Batch did. He broke it all down into little tiny sections.
And some people might need a combination of any or all of those together, and all of the flowers can work in harmony with each other. You don't have a situation where you're like, oh Christ, can't give that because she needs that as well.
No contraindications anywhere.
And presumably not with any conventional medicine either. So like you said about antidepressants things, they can work together.
No, they can be taken with people. I've got people that are taking them who've been on cancer treatment, chemotherapy, radiotherapy. It's a delicate subject, and the consultants and the GPs will always say, might not be a good idea, but I have some patients who are end of life and they have nothing to lose. I have some patients who are on radiotherapy, not chemo, but are desperate for a solution to their nerves, to their anxiety, and to release the stress. The more stress you put into your treatment and the more stress you have involved in your illness, certainly with cancer, the worse the cancer can be. And I have some people that don't care. They'll just take it anyway. They just want to feel better. They want to feel happy. They want to feel more in control.
It's almost like a sort of nutritional supplement, really. Do you know what I mean? It's like, have some spinach, have some busy Lizzie, whatever.
There you go.
Yeah.
So can I just bring in it for dogs for a minute? Okay.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I'm
That's
going
what
to
we're
share.
talking about.
It is. I'm going to share what we did with Faelen, if that's all right, because I know patient confidentiality still stands with dogs as well. But just to give everyone a good idea, Faelen was always very fearful as a puppy, and I couldn't take him indoors to do any training. I was told give up on the obedience with him because he's too fearful. And I spoke to Ross. I've just said Ross. I've known Roz.
This was never going to go well, was it?
It was never going to go well with me, was it? Since 2003, because I trained you as a kinesiologist, didn't I? And that's how we met through your horse, didn't we? Through Moonbeam. I went off and I did some therapy on Roz's horse, and that's how we got to know each other and trained as a kinesiologist. And then when Faelen started getting really fearful, because I was so connected and so involved, I got on to Roz and I said, can you help me with Faelen? Because he's very emotional. He's frightened of everything, both the known, the unknown. He goes into fight flight, he completely shuts down. And he was struggling. He was really, really struggling as even as a puppy. Like within a week of bringing him home, he was really struggling with fear, above and beyond, the fear period. And so I had a Zoom call with Roz, and she just talked me through not only what we're going to do, but then the questions started, didn't we? So in the way when we do a behaviour consult, as a behaviourist, and we go to somebody's house and we get them to fill a form in, and then we go through it and we dig deep and ask questions and we analyse it. That's exactly what happened with Roz, but with the remedies. Yeah. So Roz, do you want to take over and say like the process
Yes.
from your side of it?
Can I discuss and talk about what we did for Faelen?
Yeah, I give you full permission to talk about everything we did with Faelen
Thank
because it
you.
was
Thank you.
amazing.
I think the big thing to understand is when you start to treat animals, you need the story, you need history. In a lot of cases, for me, when they're rescues, there ain't no
There's no
history.
history.
You have to treat what you see. That's fine. But when you've got an opportunity for history, it's incredibly important that someone like Les, the owners, are honest. Because unless we have the facts, I can't give the right remedies. And it's the facts that give me the answers.
Mhm.
So I go back to when we talked about Faelen, and we looked at where Faelen had come from, what his situation was. He didn't come from a home that was wrong, but he came from a home where he hadn't been socialised necessarily with the right things as a puppy. No noise, or it was all calm, wasn't it? In the middle of the countryside, no traffic.
It was in the middle of the countryside. You had to go up a
Yeah,
really small lane. It
yeah.
was although
Idyllic,
idyllic for a
beautiful.
human.
Yes,
And Nikki did have visitors and she did have noise in the house, but that was it. There was nothing. There was no traffic noise, no
so there
normal.
was a lot of love and care involved, but
Yeah.
the realities of what Phelan was going to face as a dog in a busy household didn't happen. So, of course, for him, it was like, I can't cope.
Mhm.
And he's a blondie, and therefore that sort of Labrador. So this is the last connection that we put together for him, and it was fear of the unknown. Now, that fear of the unknown comes from the aspen tree, and the aspen tree in Canada is known as the whispering tree because the leaves move on the tree, but there's no wind.
Oh,
It's really weird.
spooky.
It is spooky. And I can't remember where it was that I went, but there was an aspen tree quite literally outside the windows when I was studying. Well, I cannot remember where it was, but I have seen. And the leaves move, and there's no air circulating, no wind, no breeze, no nothing. But they do. Then we have the elm, and that was what we gave to him as well, because when dogs are frightened, it's overwhelm that kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
That overwhelm, they can't deal with it, and it's a sensory overload. And the elm remedy for me, for a human, it's my one go-to when I'm surrounded by paper and remedies and don't know where to go first. It just takes the heat out of everything. It takes the pressure off. We looked then at honeysuckle, didn't we, for his past?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the past has a huge effect on animals because they have a very, very long memory. They keep these things in their brain banks. We as humans take our past memories, and if we don't like them, we stick them in the box, and they're there long enough, and we forget about them until something pokes at it.
Yeah, because we can reason, whereas a dog can't, and if it's got a big emotional impact, you can't reason them off it.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. There's no common sense in there, is there, for an animal?
Sorry, there's not much common sense in people either.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to debate that point, but I'll leave you to live with that one. I agree, but there we go. Larch for his confidence. Now, the larch is an incredible remedy because it's a remedy that enables people to come out of their shell, to be able to decide whether or not they want to make a decision to do something and feel brave and courageous about it. But if it doesn't work, I always liken it to dipping their toe in a swimming pool. They want to go for a swim, but they're not sure, or going down to the sea and they think they're going to go for a swim, and they can't make up their mind. Is the water warm enough? Is it too cold? What is it? And I always say to them, well, if you dip your toe in the water and you don't like it, you can come away, but you've not lost anything. You just pat yourself on the back because at least you've tried. You haven't just gone no, which is a negative feeling for them and for whoever else they're with.
Mm-hmm.
But if you dip your toe in the water and you like it, your quid's in because you won. So the larch remedy is really for the courage and the confidence. The mimulus, which is for fear of the known, you knew what Faelen was afraid of. You knew what he didn't like, hence the reason we used it. Rock crows for the terror, that fright and flight mode. Rock crows just has that ability to just go, whoa, let's have a little think about this. We need to ration it out, and then we can move forward. And then the last one I gave him was the Star of Bethlehem. Star of Bethlehem is a tiny, tiny white flower. It's the most beautiful flower, I think, out of all of them. But it's the neutralizer of adrenaline. And of course, for Faelen, most of his life in his early months, and from when he moved in with Les, was spent with adrenaline running around his body.
Mm.
Can't do that. A human being can't do it. Well, neither can a dog. You end up with something totally neurotic if you're not careful.
Mm.
And that's where the Star of Bethlehem came and sort of kind of get it down a peg. So you turn the volume down, you turn the reactions down, and they settle into a new sense of being.
Mm.
And how long did that take to have like a noticeable effect, Les, when you start? I mean, firstly, sorry, what were you given kind of drop dosage wise, and how long did it take for you to kind of think, yeah, this is cool, this is working?
The dosage is the same for everybody, by the way.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what you said for
eight drops twice a day.
It how long did it take? So the first remedy took, I mean, it didn't take long at all. It took a couple of weeks. I mean, when I went back to training, Linda was just floored by it because she said there's no point in continuing doing anything with the dog because he's too frightened of everything. Like, I was banned from the hall because he was frightened of the wooden panels. So, I mean, we've come to the conclusion that he is slightly quite claustrophobic, so we do have to work with that. But he was frightened of the wooden panels in the hall. He wouldn't go near them. Like, he wouldn't go towards the windows or anything. So everything was done outdoors, and we couldn't get anywhere with him. So I was literally told not to come back. I was heartbroken, and then saw Roz, and it took about 3 weeks. I went back for a lesson after a month, and Linda was blown away. She couldn't get over the difference in him, and we started training him again. And then but he was still getting a lot of car sickness. Then he was still frightened of the car, and so I went back to Roz again and said, let's work on the car, a little bit more in relation to fear of the car, because he getting within 10 feet of the car, he would lie down and he would drool, and he was terrified of the car. So we got him in the car. We got over the car sickness thing, and then I think that last remedy took. That was tricky because after we lost Dante.
Yes, that was the other thing that came into it, wasn't it?
The last one was when we lost Dante. So I was grieving, Emrys was grieving, Faelen went back over with, everything had been unsettled in the house. And Faelen regressed a little, but not much. He only went back a little bit, went back in touch with Roz. All three of us got remedies. And within, again, probably 2 to 3 weeks, completely different dog. I mean, it is amazing, but you need somebody who's really skilled to be able. It's that questioning. It's like us, isn't it? When you go and do a behaviour consult, the key isn't necessarily in the best training techniques. It's about that getting the information out of the person in the first place so you can come up with a plan, a training plan or a behaviour modification plan. And it's the same. Roz was just kind of chipping away and chipping away, chipping away to find out more about them. So it was really quick. I've recommended it to a few people. I've recommended Roz to a few people, and
they've all had positive results.
They've all been really pleased with the results.
Cool. I've got two questions. One, you said it's the same amount of drops for everybody, all species, whatever. Are people not tempted? Like, you said 8 drops, I'll have 16 and then I'll have another 16 later because I need to get this. And is there not a place for that? It's just don't do that.
Well, all they're doing is wasting their money.
Okay, so it doesn't
because it doesn't. It's like, well, homeopathy is the same. I mean, you take homeopathic tablets and take more than you need. All you're doing is wasting your money.
Yeah.
Because it won't change anything any faster. However, if you don't take enough, or you stop taking it halfway through, don't come and tell me that it hasn't worked. Well, because it won't have worked because you haven't taken the remedies as prescribed. It's very much in that respect. I always kind of say to people, it's a bit like taking antibiotics. If you take the antibiotics, they work. If you take the remedies, they will work. If you don't, they won't.
No.
And it is very much dependent. And I have to add into this when we were talking about the last lot we did for Les with after Dante went. A lot of that was also involved with the fact that Les was grieving at the time hugely for Dante. And that comes out in how you're dealing with the dogs that you've got around you. We don't know it necessarily, but our emotions, they go straight down the lead to the dog.
Yeah.
And
Dante was such a big part of you, wasn't
it? He was my soul dog. He was.
Yeah. So that's really what we do. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Which one did you interrupt? I don't know.
You, Ross.
Okay, so another question I have. So one of the main areas of fear that we see in dogs is, aside from sort of fear-based aggression and things like that, which is common, one of the biggest areas that people struggle with is fear of firework, like phobic responses to fireworks or gunshots and stuff like that. Is there lots of success with, because of it's, I was going to say, because obviously it's kind of unpredictable, isn't it, when we have fireworks and things like that? So do we just treat until the symptoms go, or we treat around that fireworks?
The key, if you have a dog that's anxious over that, is to start earlier than most people do. Most people come to me in October and they go, oh my God, it's bonfire night of November the 5th. But they're all having their bonfire parties throughout October. And the remedies won't work. I have one lady who, bless her heart, Wendy, I treated her dog. She lives in Glasgow. She runs a dog walking thing called Croft Canines. And her little dog, just a little chalky like we had, but looks totally different to Snoopy. Petrified, shake, drool, everything. She started in the July, sailed through bonfire night and all the other parties in Glasgow. And Hogmanay, well, what was that? I've got a picture of her sleeping right through the fireworks and a video of it. It's just amazing. But you have to start at the right time. You have to give it time because these things all take time.
And will that now be an annual thing? So next July she'll start the process again, or she's done, that's finished?
What she does is she uses the rescue remedy, the pet rescue remedy, just to top it up when she knows there's going to be fireworks nearby. But on an ad hoc basis, not necessary.
Okay.
But you have to go through the course. And I've started advertising things about fireworks and dogs in July, and people kind of go, what are you talking about that for now? And they ignore it. Or you ignore it at your peril, because I can't help anybody in November. And I tell people, I can't help you. I can't help your dog on November the 1st for what's going to happen on bonfire.
Because I've got a link in, because I do a firework webinar. I might bring it early if you normally do in July, because I normally do it mid-August. And then there's a link to you for people as well when they get the PowerPoint slides. you always link to it as well. But I
Thank
might
you.
do it early if it's
If
July that it needs to be done.
if you think about it, by the time they get around to finally put them to see me, it'll be August. So then you get August, September, October. Well, within October with 3 lots of remedies,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's kind of the time span.
And what about separation anxiety, Ross? Do you see lots of dogs for separation anxiety?
Post-COVID, massive,
Post-COVID, yeah.
massive, massive. And they look at me and they kind of, well, I don't understand, because he had all the bonding with us during COVID. What went wrong? And you kind of go, well, nobody told the dog that you were going to leave the house when we were all let out to play. And somebody forgot and left the dog behind. Oops.
Yeah.
And they kind of go, oh no, he didn't know.
Uh-huh. It's when you're working with separation anxiety, do you work with like a remedy for the owner as well? Because there's
Yes.
all that emotional
Yep.
baggage, isn't there, about leaving the dog behind?
Yeah. 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 Well, there'll always be the ones that won't then decide, well, okay, if the dog's scared and doesn't like us going out, well, we won't go out together.
Uh-huh.
So then they plan their diaries so they're not going out together. So then you end up with a couple that actually don't have a life. There's nobody ever goes anywhere together to
Hmm.
leave the dog,
Hmm.
and they kind of go out, and then the dog cries and they see it on the camera or whatever, and then they go back.
Hmm.
So they never actually get over it. We have a remedy that works with that, and that's a remedy called chicory, which is all about possessiveness. And of course,
Okay.
people have got these cameras up in their houses nowadays, so they see every movement that the dog does, and they don't realise that actually dogs are dogs, and if there's a noise, they're going to bark, and they might bark once or twice. But if they're left, they'll go back.
Hmm. And the owners go rushing back to them. Oh, my baby.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
then why does the dog bark again?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mom, come
exactly. So,
home.
and I've had one said to me, well, I did go out of the door and leave them. And I said, well, how far did you go? Oh, I went and stood at the end of the road. I said, well, how long is the road? Oh, about 50 yards. Or I sat in the car. I said, your dog knows you're there. How? You can't see me. I said, smell? Oh.
It is quite funny, isn't it? Do you think, and it just a question that's popped in my head is, do you know how more and more cafes and pubs allow people to take their dogs with them? Okay. I mean, I don't actually enjoy going to a cafe where there's lots of dogs where they're sitting at the table, because it seems to be a lot of the cafes that we go to are like the garden centre cafes. I'm of an age where I go to the garden centre for coffee now, and but they'll be sitting in the coffee shop and they'll have their dog up on the chair with them. Yeah, you can't see, but Ross is looking a bit horrified. Yeah, I don't go to those ones anymore. But do you think
Why is the dog sitting on a chair?
because it's the baby? It's
Do
the
me a
baby.
favour.
You can't leave it at home because it'll cry and they'll have to go back because they'll see it on the camera crying. So they go back, they take it out for coffee with them, and it whines on the floor. So they pick it up, me, they put it on the lap or put it on the tray in the bed, And so do you think the fact that more cafes are allowing stuff like that, that it's making it worse and dogs are suffering even more emotional stuff because all of a sudden they're not being dogs anymore,
And they're
and
being
that
treated.
has got
Yeah.
to cause a lot of
Mm.
inner
I
turmoil.
don't know. I don't know. I think obviously it depends on the size of the dog, and it depends on how long you're actually going to be there.
Mm.
I mean, I think it also depends on the space in the environment where
And
you
the
are.
and the
I will
owners.
be brutally frank with you. Most of the time, Snoopy was on the floor.
Uh-huh.
But we used to go to one particular pub, and the one reason we went there regularly, was because we could take him.
Hmm.
But I could put my coat on the seat where I would sit, which was like a bench type seat. He'd sit on there and he'd go to sleep.
Hmm. Hmm.
That was it, gone. But the reason he did that is because underneath there wasn't a lot of space.
Hmm.
When you put a feet and then a dog,
Hmm.
well, he's going to end up sitting in the way of other people. And he was
Right.
safer because he
Yeah.
wasn't Labrador size. He was like
Hmm.
a little box.
Hmm.
Um, so he was a chalky Ross. So he was a sort of half Chihuahua, half Yorkshire Terrier.
You
So
could have just put him in your pocket.
not quite,
he
not
was
quite.
just sweet little thing.
He was
Sweet little thing.
adorable.
He
So,
was
but yes.
lovely.
But so we did then. But I
Mm.
would never, ever, ever in a normal space put him on
No,
the chair. No,
because
sorry.
the podcast we did the other week, Ross had just come back from Crufts and he was saying the way the dogs were just getting tanked around and dragged around and left on the floor, little dogs on the floor getting pushed around, and I mean there would have been a lot of emotional fallout for the dogs there.
Yeah. I think people take dogs to the wrong places. I think somewhere like Crufts is probably a bit overwhelming for a lot of dogs.
People are just thoughtless, aren't they? I mean, just thoughtless. They just do what they want to do, regardless of what's best for the dog. And it's just, they
It's
don't.
an appendage,
Yeah,
I think, for a
Mm.
lot of people.
yeah.
And
It is.
as for dressing dogs up in clothes and all the rest, it's like a horror story.
It
Mind
is.
you, it is all down to the owners. This is the thing. I mean, we've just had a one night overstay for a friend of mine to look after her dog, which is quite honestly a 3 kilo Yorkshire Terrier. So it's like this little fragile thing, bless her heart. Having said that, she has got the bark that goes straight through your head.
Oh
And
yeah.
I love her to pieces, but I hate bedtime. We don't have a stair gate and she never stays downstairs. So she comes upstairs and she ends up on my bed. Now, Snoopy always slept on the bed. That was fine. It didn't bother us. But this, because Mum lived in a static caravan for a while when she was going through her divorce, she lived in this caravan and it was blooming cold.
Uh-huh.
So the dog used to get cold. So where did the dog go? In the
Under the
bed.
covers.
Oh, jeepers. The horror. Well, honestly, I jumped out of bed when she did it the first time. I thought, no. I whisked her out and I plunked her on the top of the doom. I said, stay there. This house is not cold. She never was tempted to go back down again. But this little dog trying to get in, and we just kind of, that's not what a dog does, is
I
it?
know. No.
Really?
It is
Just
with a
not
bit
my
of
dog.
training.
No, so yes.
It is, and a lot. I mean, as Ross has just said, it's training, isn't it?
People
Apparently
like
it's like the barking. This is the training.
If some Roz, oh God, thank you, Roz. If somebody wanted to look into training to be a Bach Flower Remedy
Yep.
practitioner for people or dogs, how would they go about doing it?
Bach Centre, they run courses regularly. They even now do online courses. They didn't do them when I first started.
Wow.
So you do an introductory course, and then you come away and possibly do some case studies. You can't practice on anybody. Then you will do your level 2, which is really all about what the remedies do, how the remedies work. When you've done your level 2, you have to go away and do a set of case studies. And then you go, and with that, you can then use the remedies for your family and your friends. You cannot practice because you haven't done the practitioner certificate. But you can use the remedies. For instance, if you're, as I was, a kinesiologist, you can use it for muscle testing. You can use the remedies, for instance, if I did with my reflexology clients, you can give the remedies to somebody in line with that. All of that is possible. Then if you want to become a practitioner, you have to then do your practitioner certificate. And there's normally 6 months to a year's worth of practice and case notes again before you qualify. I didn't do my practitioner certificate immediately after I'd done my level 2. I left it. So
But you were a kinesiologist, so it was an add-on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an add-on. I didn't need it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I get the impression from you, what you're talking about with Faelen, you can have these consultations remotely without seeing the dog, or
yeah. I do all my work remotely.
That's good, isn't it? It saves being in the room with people.
That's well, I started in lockdown, so I had to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had some of my horse owners send me videos of their horses in difficult situations. We've put horses into boxes. We've got I've worked on two, oh God, they were two feral cats that belonged to a friend of mine. She'd adopted them, and it wasn't until lockdown that she realised that they didn't get on because they
Oh,
used to go through the passage in her home, in her hallway. She had a bungalow, so they could only walk through along this corridor. And as they went past one another, they used to hiss and spit at one another and swipe each other. And she said, I can't do this. She said, I've never seen it before because I'm never here. I said, well, that's fine. She said, what can I do? I gave her some remedies for them, and they slept in each other's beds from there on in. They were
lovely.
inseparable. And that was a feral cat. And I thought I would never change cats because they're too independent. But no, yeah, worked for them.
How do you give them the drops? Do you just put the drops on their paws or
On the
something?
food.
No,
On the food.
you still put it on their food because they can be really fussy like that, can't they?
Well, the drops don't smell.
No, no, with the glycerin, no.
No, they don't smell. There's no smell at all. So there we go.
And is there an add-on? Is there an add-on course for treating animals? After
Yes,
once
there
you're a
is another
practitioner, you
course.
have to
Yes.
specialize then, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. There is another add-on course for the animals. So that's another 6 to 9 months.
Mhm.
But that's interesting. I mean, I don't use anything of much of what I learned about other animals, ducks, pigs, geese,
Mm. Okay.
chickens. No, I didn't pay much attention to that. It's the horses, but it's also I was really interested with the dogs because I started with a dog. I was asked to help treat a dog before I'd done my pets, an animal one, and I was asked to help treat. This will make you laugh. The gun dog that was terrified of guns.
Mm.
When
It's
the
really
owner would go to take the gun out of the cupboard, the dog would go into the cupboard. And that's the only time that dog was ever aggressive, when the owner tried to get him out. Because he wouldn't come.
Yeah.
But he never actually bit him, but he showed his teeth. And the owner said, I'm too scared to go near him because if he does bite me, I've got a problem. So he never pushed it. But we gave him the remedies, and the remedies helped. But then you have a situation whereby the owner had to have the remedies as well, so that the owner wasn't then fearful, because of course the dog, he kept going in to try and get the dog, but then came away. Well, actually, doggy says, I've won.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it's so important to treat everybody, isn't it? Not just the animal.
Is that
Really.
common in most cases then? Most cases you'd be dealing with the person and the animal.
I would have said in more cases than not, you will certainly give the owners at least 2 sets of remedies, if not 3. And then that is so that they are not constantly looking at this animal thinking, you're going to cause me a problem.
And do you ever get people say, no, I haven't got a problem, it's the dog. I don't want
All
to.
the time.
Yeah.
All the time. The biggest one is, my dog's aggressive. What can I do? My dog is aggressive. Your dog is not aggressive. Your dog was not born aggressive. What we need to find out is why your dog is displaying this particular action. A dog can only growl or bark or whine. It doesn't have any other language it can use. So we need to establish what the problem is. And invariably, the problem is the fact that the owner is frightened of the dog. But try telling that.
Yeah, or frightened of the situation they find themselves in, because it really escalates. I mean, once you've had a dog that's displayed aggression, then I think you really need to work with the owner's emotions as well, because straight away they get nervous taking the dog out, which feeds the behaviour from the dog. And yeah.
Neighbours have shouted at them because they've got an aggressive dog. And, oh my goodness, okay, I've got an aggressive dog now what do I do with that?
Yeah.
And they don't walk them and that sort of thing. And that's when it's, that's hard.
I know when I work with people with aggressive dogs, I always get them on rescue remedy. Always. I always get the owners straight away on rescue remedy, just to take the edge off when
They put the owners on it and the dogs as well.
Yeah. But always get the owner on it. And if when they're worried when they're out, the chewing gum, And I say, when you get nervous, just give it a good old chew. So we want to like chomping away on this chewing gum, just to try and get them to
Calm
calm
things
down so it doesn't
Absolutely.
trigger the dog. Yeah.
And if people want to know more about like where to seek a practitioner or indeed more about you or whatever, where can people go?
The Batch Centre. www.thebatchcentre.com. That's where it all is.
That's where
And
it all
me,
happens.
Remedies by Ros.
Awesome. Nice and easy. Remedies by Ross.
Not
Not
Ross.
Ross.
Yes.
Just the one S, right?
Just the one S.
Have you ever used them, Ross? You've never used the Remedies at all?
No, never. Is the centre's in Wallington? What Wallingford is
Wallingford.
it? Based. Yeah. No, I haven't ever used
Where
them.
are you based?
I'm in West London, but I have sucked on the little remedy.
Pastels.
Yeah, I've had a couple of leses when we've been working or
when we've had to do big presentations, if we've been like when we've been guest speakers, it's like, here, have one of these.
Yes.
neck the whole lot. No, but it sounds really fascinating. So I'd definitely like to look more into it because obviously a lot of what our listeners and stuff obviously work in behaviour and training. So if there's anything that we can use to support the behaviour of stuff that we're doing, then why not look into it and see, go from there.
And it's natural. You're not putting chemicals into the dog's body.
No.
Sorry, Ros, just thinking of that one quick question before you go. The Veterinary Exemptions Act was changed, wasn't it? So it was changed a few years ago after I stopped practicing with it. So for maintenance, you don't need veterinary permission. That's right, isn't it? So anything that's classed as a maintenance and ongoing.
Yep. I don't treat whenever there is a medical problem.
Okay, so if we're working as behaviourists, because years ago as a behaviourist, we were treading a very, very fine line using Bach Flower Remedies, and I kind of got away with it being a kinesiologist because it came under the kinesiology head. But we don't have to worry about that now, do we? Because the Veterinary Exemption Act changed, so we can use them to support behavioural work that we're doing without necessarily needing permission from the vet now.
I mean, I've actually used the remedies to help dogs to get to the vet.
Yeah, I know. It's great, isn't it?
But that's where the pet rescue remedy is absolutely perfect. If you've got to take your dog to the vet, put the pet remedy on their breakfast or the night before or on their tea, whatever, give it 8 hours, 2 lots, put it in their water, the dog will be much, much calmer.
Do you, sorry, I know we're all winding up now, but do you know the spray, which I know you don't like, you prefer the drops, but do you ever spray the bed with the rescue remedy spray?
No.
Or you don't? Okay.
No.
Interesting.
These things have to be absorbed within the bloodstream.
Okay. That's really good to know. Thank you.
Just literally the pet rescue remedy, which is in the glycerin.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I've got that. I've got loads of it knocking around because of that's mine. I've always got it in my drawer. Fantastic.
I think I need to sign up for all of those. I'll have a little tincture with everything in it, I think.
Can't do that. I can only do 7 at a time. Sorry.
Okay, I'll have 2 bottles then.
If you're interested, Ross, I'm really, really happy to talk you through anything on a separate occasion. So, I mean, just let me know.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's really kind and a fascinating conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ross. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening. It's not just gun dogs and not just guard dogs, but all things canine, as we hope you have discovered. Please like, share and subscribe and help us spread a bit of common sense back into dog ownership. And a review wouldn't go amiss either. Catch up with Les and Ross again in about 14 days for more canine conversations. Until next time, stay well and enjoy your dogs. Any dog-related questions or topics, just drop an email to talk@cfba.uk or message us via facebook.com/gundogs and guard dogs podcast.